Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jack Neisminger. I am a director, a writer, and an actor, for those of you who don't know me. For those of you who do, welcome back. Before we get into anything, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Head over to me and Alex's main channels. I'll try my best to link those. And yeah, so today, Alex had this idea of, what if I sent him my list of what I believe should be the top 5 best movies of all time, and then he sends me his list of his top 5 movies of all time, and then we'll critique each other's lists. So right now I have in my hand, I have not opened this, my sister wrote this down for me. This is a list of his top 5 movies, and then he has an honorable mention, and then a personal favorite. And hopefully we'll be releasing these around the same time, so you'll be able to see my list. And yeah, so I have not opened this. Also, I apologize for my hair. I didn't feel like brushing it. Hopefully I don't care, it's hair. But yeah, so let's open the list. It's upside down. Okay. So number 1 on what he believes are the top 5 movies of all time, and I'll go individually. So number 1, Taxi Driver. I agree with that. That is not on my list, but that was considered while I was making my list, and I do understand why he says that. I think Taxi Driver is one of the most classic movies of all time. You know, it has possibly one of the best performances of an actor I've seen. It's an amazing movie. Obviously, it was very inspiring for me, because then I went, literally the night I watched that, it was either the night I watched that we started filming Last Resort, or I wrote the script for Last Resort. And if you've seen Last Resort and you've seen Taxi Driver, you know that they're very similar. And that was because I was so inspired by that movie to make this movie. It really pushed me to make it. So obviously that movie is very close to my heart. But I also, it didn't make my list, mostly because I feel like it's kind of a movie that's been done before. Obviously this was the first one, so it's very classic, but it is one that I like. You know, we then had Joker, and there were a couple others that kind of followed that same kind of style, but I still do believe that it is, if I could make a top 10, it would be right below my number 5, because I do believe that it is one of the greatest movies of all time, but top 5 is pushing it for me. But yeah, I really do like Taxi Driver, and I do understand why he put it on his list. So number 2, Schindler's List. I have not seen Schindler's List. So I cannot give it. I'm hoping to see it eventually. I know it's an amazing movie, and I'm hoping to eventually see it one day. But I can also agree with that. Obviously, I haven't seen it, so I'm not really going to give too much of a say on it, just because I haven't seen it. I can't really tell you whether or not I think it is, but from what I've heard and from what everyone else says, and from even what people close to me, like my father and my mother, say, it is one of the greatest movies of all time. So I do also understand why that is on here. Obviously it's Steven Spielberg. It's going to be amazing. So yeah. Pulp Fiction. 100% agree. Pulp Fiction is actually on my list as well. I do believe Pulp Fiction is one of the best movies of all time. It was just so different. You know, it was, I mean, obviously it was, besides Reservoir Dogs, Tarantino's breakout film. You know, I think it's his masterpiece, personally, having seen most of his movies, and I do think that it was just, from the time range that it came out in, it was very different from everything else we'd seen. You know, obviously the acting in it is amazing. I mean, Bruce Willis, Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Uma Thurman, some of the best actors of our time, or of that time, and still to this day of this time. So yeah, I think that movie is definitely one of the top. It was on my list as well. I believe I put it on number 2. And yeah, so that is definitely 100% agree. That is one of the greatest movies of all time. Okay, number 4, Apocalypse Now. Once again, I have not seen this movie. I know I'm hoping to one day. So I can't really 100% say if I agree, but once again, from what I've heard, I can say people do believe it's one of the greatest movies of all time. So I can say with that, I'll agree with them. Until I watch it, you know, I might change my mind. I don't think I will because it's a classic. But I do also agree with his statement of putting that on his list. And yeah, I hope to one day see that one. That's another one I want to watch. I have a long list of movies I want to watch. 2001: A Space Odyssey. Okay, here's a little background about this movie. So me and Alex actually watched this movie together for the first time. We each hadn't seen it, and I went over to his house and we watched it together, each for the first time. And we each have very differing opinions on it. I personally don't like it. I feel like it was a bit too weird for me. And if you like it, that's perfectly fine. I want to like it. I do. I think that, you know, it's a very classic movie, and I am very happy that I can say I've seen it. But I really just, it's one of those movies that I wouldn't watch again. I feel like a lot of people, like I said, it's just too weird for me. There's this line that you can cross between being an okay weird and then too weird, and I think that he went beyond too weird. You know, there was a lot of stuff that didn't need to be there. That's a whole other conversation. Me and Alex are actually hoping to make an entire separate video, possibly a podcast, talking about that movie, so there will be a time to talk about that, but I personally disagree with that. Not criticizing him at all. I think that, you know, it has reason to be on here because, I mean, visuals, everything in that movie are great, but I personally would not put it on my list. But yeah, I do understand why he put it on there, and I had a feeling he'd put it on there because he said that that's one of his favorite movies. Okay, so those are his top 5 favorite movies of all time. And now he has 1 honorable mention and 1 top favorite movie of all time. So his honorable mention is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Once again, haven't seen this. I know I haven't seen a lot. But once again, from what I've heard, what he's said, this seems like one of the most classic spaghetti westerns you will ever see. I've just started to get a little bit more into westerns. I just recently watched Tombstone, and the remake of Magnificent Seven with Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington. And I like them. I like westerns. I like that style. I just recently started playing Red Dead Redemption 2 as well, which I adore. So I do like westerns, and I do one day, me and my parents have actually talked about watching this movie, or the series, because, you know, Clint Eastwood, and it's Clint Eastwood. So yeah, that one is a very, from what I've heard, once again, a very good movie, a very classic movie. I know it's a classic movie, and I do hope to one day watch that as well. But yeah, so his top favorite movie of all time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Completely agree. It wasn't my top favorite movie, and honestly, I adore the movie. Oh my gosh, I don't know what just happened to me. I adore the movie. I think it's a great movie. Acting in it is top notch. It definitely, I think that he would also agree with this. It definitely was slow at parts. It is one of Tarantino's, the only one that's a bit slower in the Tarantino universe is Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight was very slow. That was one of the first movies I fell asleep watching, at parts. I woke back up here and there, but that one and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are pretty slow, and a lot of people didn't actually like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I like it. I like the style of movie it is. I think it's a great movie. I think that it does justice with Tarantino's tribute to film. Me and Alex talk about that a lot. He agrees with that as well. I personally wouldn't have had it on my... I don't believe it's, you know, the best movie of all time. I don't believe it's my personal favorite, but it is, you know, it is a very good movie. And I would definitely check it out if you haven't, because, you know, it's great director, great actors. You can't really go wrong. Yeah. But I just personally feel like it wasn't... It's not that it wasn't good enough. It just wasn't good enough to make it onto my list personally. I'm also a very picky person when it comes on to certain movies. And when it comes on to Tarantino, I expect a lot. And I wasn't disappointed by any means, but I was also... It was very different from a Tarantino film, I feel. It definitely had, you know, you can tell it's Tarantino, but it also... It kind of took me a little bit to figure out, okay, this is more of a Tarantino film. But, yeah, so that is Alex's list. So he is going to be doing a review on my list soon. I'll probably be editing this video tonight, and hopefully we can put these out at around the same time. So yeah, thank you for watching. So, things to be looking out for. Alan Connors Killed Me, the short film by Alex Bradley. Actually the last film of Q1, which is very exciting. We do have one extra little thing planned that I won't say anything about yet. We'll get to that point eventually. It's a little surprise that me and Alex have been working on for about 3 months now, and we're very excited about it. Won't say anything yet, but do be looking out for announcement videos if you're curious to see what it is. Also be looking out for the Silence director breakdown. Alex said he might want to try to film that with me, which would be really fun. So that'll be coming out soon. I'm trying to think. We are going to be trying to, over the break period between Q1 and Q2, we're seeing there'll be at least about a month. And we're going to be creating a podcast. Don't know what the name of it is or anything, but we're going to try to do some kind of podcast style thing where it's uncut, just us debating about film. Because that's what we love doing. We enjoy having those conversations. And we believe that I personally would like to do 2001 as our first, because as you can see, I could talk about that movie for hours. And I think that some of the best conversation or debates about movies that I've had with Alex have been about that movie. So I think that'd be a great one to talk about. So be looking out for those as well. I'm trying to think of anything else. Go over to my main channel and Alex's main channel. Over on my main channel, I'm kind of all over the place right now, but I will be doing my Stranger Things Season 2 review soon. I'm writing the script for it now. You guys seem to really like the first one, so I'm excited to do the second one. I'm trying to space them out so that by the time Season 4 comes out, I will be making the Season 3 review, and then I can watch Season 4 and a little bit later do a review on it. So that's kind of my plan. That's why I've been taking a while. Like, I think there's been about a month and a half between my last one and this one. So yeah, be looking out for that. Go subscribe here, there, Alex's channel. And yeah. Also, we are trying to do a Q&A video. We've had a few questions so far, but not as many as the first one we did. So if you have any questions, comment them on any video. Just leave a comment down below asking a question about our movies, about movies you want us to talk about, and we will talk about them. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Go watch Alex talking about my list. Should be coming out soon. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.